Hello everyone and welcome to Azro University channel. This channel will be your gateway to hundreds of useful courses from different scientific subjects, especially computer science lessons. All these lessons will be grouped and organized in an effective way into Azro Knowledge Repository. And in today's video, I am gonna teach you as beginner coders how to write code in Java programming language. As you can see throughout this series of Java lessons that we will talk a lot with great focus on too much details. I choose this approach to dive further into details because of two reasons. The first one is to teach you how to write code without bugs. A bug is something wrong in your code. Most of the times bugs rise at runtime. And if you know them, you can fix them in 2 minutes. But you can't guess how long it will take for you to find them. You can pass hours and even days in debugging process. The second reason is to help you understand tips and tricks of Java language, especially if you plan to prepare for the Java exam. As you know, taking multiple choice questions isn't easy as you can imagine. So in this video, we will discuss too much interesting things with details, too much details. The only thing that we will not talk about with details is installing JDK. I suppose it is done on your machine because our focus is only on the language. We will write two mini portions of code to demonstrate everything we talk about, and we will use just text editors instead of Eclipse and IntelliJ. So let's start. Our first question is, what is coding in Java? Coding in Java is writing code in Java language, following a set of rules and using some keywords. So to write Java code, just create a text file. It's preferable into an empty directory using your preferred text editor, Blocknote, for example. We will start with the famous example hello world. Okay. Here I will create a file with blocknotes. I will call it program 001.java. I will delete the .txt extension. File is created. I will open the file, okay, and write this code. Class app1 and into or between the curly braces I will write a method public static void main string args. Okay, and between the method curly brace I will write my algorithm system.out.print. Okay, and here I will type hello world. I will save the file. So don't worry about the meaning of the content. I'll explain everything later on, and as I promised, in too much details. What you need to know for the moment is just the .java extension is mandatory for Java code files and must be in small letters if you are under case-sensitive platform like Unix. The file name can be whatever you want. I have chosen this name on purpose and in small letters. And in command line, command prompt, I will write dir. Okay, you can use ls in Linux system. As you see here, there is just one file in this current directory, the .java file. We call it code source file or write code file. This code consists of a set of instructions that humans give to the computer to do calculations, to process information, and to manipulate data, and so on. The computer will execute them stupidly. The computer is a stupid machine. It understands nothing. All it can do is just executing instructions one after another, but much faster than we can. The computer executes what we write as algorithms. These algorithms are based on human intelligence, the coder intelligence, like you. Well, the question now is, can you run this code? Of course, no. Why? Because we have just a write code file. The computer just understands its language, machine language, 0 and 1 phrases. In Java world, the only program that can convert all to 0 and 1 phrases is the JVM, the Java Virtual Machine. This JVM in turn can't understand the write code file or Java file. So we need first to convert it into something called bytecode. The bytecode that JVM can understand, and we will explain this in details too. Thus, we need a Java converter program. It is another program called Java-C. Java-C is the Java compiler, a program written by another coder like you. If you fill out these videos, I promise you will be a very good coder. Okay. What you have to do is to compile your code by typing this command in the prompt, Java-C. Okay, fill out by the .java file name, program 001.java. Okay, we saw nothing in the prompt. Let's explain. Now retype dir command, dir command. As you will see in the screen, the compiler have produced another file in the same directory. The file's name is the same name that you wrote in your code after the class keyword, but with another extension, .class extension. This file, or this new file produced or generated by the compiler, is called bytecode or class file. Bytecode is the only code that JVM can interpret and execute. Now we can say that we have a Java program or Java applications because of this method. Okay, to run it in command line, just type Java. Okay, fill out by the class file name, up1. The Java command itself is a program that waits for some parameters, class file name. We can pass other parameters, but we will do that later on. Then Java command runs your bytecode. We have passed only class name without the extension. Now the JVM executes the Java program, converting it just in time into machine language for the computer who will execute it. Okay, the computer prints the message hello world into its screen or its video memory. Okay, the screen is the computer standard output in Java language. The computer have many inputs and outputs components. Okay, just wait. Java and JavaC are programs that come in with JDK. The Java command can execute only bytecode with main method. Main method only. Okay, so to finish with this first question, I'll invite you to do this exercise. To resume, when you use JavaC, the compiler read your source code, verify the Java syntax. If there is no language error, the compiler produces byte code. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, what is a Java program? Java is an object-oriented programming language. It is different from traditional languages like C, Pascal, Basic, Fortran. They are procedural languages. Procedural languages execute instructions one after the other in the order they are coded in, except if you code them in blocks of code. Even so, the computer executes blocks in order they are called. These blocks of codes are called procedures or functions. We will call them later methods, like the main method in our Hello World example. You remember. With these functions, source code will be grouped and organized into models, easy to understand and to write. This also will be explained in more details later. Let's answer the question, what is a Java program?
A Java program is a collection of objects that interact with each other. An object, for example, can invoke another object's method and getting feedback from it. An object can use another object or create another one if needed and can destroy an object after using it. So we can say that Java program manipulates objects. Just think of an object as something from the real world. For example, an object can be a person, a car, maybe a color or number, or everything else in the real world. Everything in the real world can be modeled in Java language as an object. I will give you an example to explain this. Let's have three objects of type person. The type of an object can be a class or interface, and we will talk about this notion later on. Okay, let's model this person by two attributes, its name and its birth date. This data is called the object sets. Okay, we have person 1, person 2, and person 3. Let's draw the timeline. Okay, now we have been created three objects with no states. These objects will talk with each other. Okay, person 1 wants to inform person 2 about his birth date. To do so, he must invoke a method on person 2. For example, you was born in 1990. Okay? Person 1 invokes this method on person 2, and person 2 takes this value and set it in its data to save it. At this point of time, person 2 knows his birth date. If person 3, for example, wants to know the age of person 2, he must ask P2 and invoke a method on person 2. For example, how old are you? Person 2 doesn't have something in its attribute called age. He just knows his birth date, but his age he doesn't. To reply to person 3, he needs to convert its birth date into age. And to convert it, he needs some intelligence, some algorithms to implement into this method. Then person 2 can reply, I am 31. Now person 3 will ask person 2 about his name. At this point of time, person 2 doesn't know his name. He will reply to person 3 by an error message or an exception. We will talk about exception next. I don't know. But if person 1 informs P2 about his name and invoke person 2 method, your name is Joe. If person 3 asks the same question again or invokes the same method again, person 2 can reply, my name is Joe. What we see here is a communication between 3 objects talking with each other. This communication, we will convert it into a Java program. We will write a Java code. But first, let me finish the concept of object analysis, and let me explain how to switch from functional analysis to object analysis, and with a real world example. So let's take an example from functional analysis. For example, a company whose core business consists of signing contracts with its customers. Okay, and at the arrival of every customer, the contract signature process will be triggered. This process is subdivided into several tasks performed by skilled employees and operates in an assembly line. Here, for example, every employee has a particular task to do. He has knowledge, skills, and experiences. So he can do his task effectively. The manner that he does his work or his task can be represented and modeled by an algorithm. This algorithm will be implemented in a function. So every employee has a function in this company. For example, the first function, the clerk, it takes care of typing a contract using keyboard and printing it using a printer. This task takes for him, for every contract, about 10 minutes. The second function, the controller, it checks if the printed paper is a well-formed contract. If yes, it initials every page in the contract. This task takes 10 minutes per contract. Third function, okay, the photocopier. It makes another copy of the contract paper, one for the company and the other for the customer. Okay, this takes 2 minutes. The first one, the archivist, take the contract copy, archive it, and return the archiving receipt to the applier, to the main function. This takes 3 minutes. But how about the main function? The main function, it will receive customers at the front office in one hand, and in the other hand it coordinates other functions, and finally it signs the contract and return it to the customer. The main function takes 5 minutes. So to concise an application for this company, what we have done is functional analysis. We have decomposed the problem into functions. So to serve one customer, this will take 30 minutes. Customer will wait 30 minutes before receiving his contract. Here, the function accepts in inputs a structure of data and return in the output another structure of data. Now, suppose that we have 100 customers queued in front office desk. There are more customers than functions to serve them. So, the question is, how much time is needed to serve 100 customers, knowing that we operate in 8 hours working day? To serve them, we need 6 days and 2 hours. Now the question is how to reduce the customer service queue. If the company, for example, hires 2 main functions, here we will transfer the workload to the other functions. The only solution for the company is to double the staff. It's like an application replication. So let's see what will be changed if we switch to object analysis. And as I said before, objects means real-world entities such as customer, company, archivist, contract, people, and so on. First, the company will fire all employees, even the front office desk that do the main function. It will delete all functions except the main function. The only function that will remain is the main function in Java language, okay? But who can did it? Knowing that the employee assuring it before has just been fired. This function is somewhat particular. It differs from other functions the objects can do. That's why we used the keyword static in Hello World Simple. Hello World Simple is a program whose name is app1, like company program that we will write. It has a main method. This method doesn't belong to any objects. Just a minute. We have said that a Java program is a collection of objects, and an object can invoke another object's method. Here we have a method that not belongs to any objects at all. In your opinion, who can invoke it? The only one who can invoke this method, main functions, is the JVM. Only the JVM can invoke it. And as I said before, if we write a class without main function, Java will not execute it. It's the starting point of an application. Then the main function can create other objects, can use another object, or delegate treatments to others. So let's continue in our scenario. At first, we will have an intelligent customer, an educated object. He can do many functions. He can enter to the company, read a map, writes personal info into a form, and gives this form to the main function. Then the main function can create an object called contract, and can give it the customer form at the creation time or later on by invoking its method your formula. Okay, the main function can ask this object to store its information in some database, then ask it to verify the format by invoking isOK method. For example, if this isOK function returns OK to the main function, based on this feedback, main function will ask the object, please clone yourself. The object creates a new object twin and guard it. The main asks it, archive your copy. This object will store its copy into a store and return to main function a feedback as archiving receipt. The main function asks the object, print yourself as a paper. The object use another object, for example the printer, already created by another program, for example. The main signs this paper and return it to the customer. If queues are an everyday occurrence in our business, in this manner, with responsive objects, we'll reduce customer service queues. So, how to create an object in Java? Before creating it, we must write Java file. But just wait. We can't write objects. All we can write in Java files are classes and interfaces. For this reason that we didn't write any program example, we must first explain the notion of the class before writing any other example.